Can you talk about compassion? Skillful compassion, idiot compassion, and compulsive compassion. I don't know if that's a term you use, idiot compassion, but we know it in North America. Guilty.
These terms I do not know. I know compassion, but I do not know these terms. I will try to understand. Can you explain me what you understand by skillful idiot compassion?
I suppose it's like compulsive compassion. It has stupid results. It's compulsive. And skillful compassion has better results. It seems to help more.
Yeah.
Does that make more sense?
Okay, I will try to speak on these, and in the process, I will know I have understood it well or not.
Thank you. Good morning.
When we practice compassion, though we translate the term Buddha has used called karuna into compassion. In the word compassion, according to the English language, it flows from a higher to a lower. Already there is a class division. Is it psychological class or economic class? It depends on the situation, on the case. But already a class is made. In matter of compassion that Buddha speaks of, it is empathy. It is not a kindness or a pity or from a higher end to a lower end. It's more when even a higher end will see no difference between the higher and lower end in suffering, a suffering which both share the same pain. If somebody is suffering and I see that suffering, if I give reason, I give why the person is suffering. Okay, the person is poor and suffering. It's a pity. Okay, the person is a bad person, has to suffer. It's a flying kindness. No, that's not compassion what Buddha meant. The compassion what Buddha meant was when you see somebody suffering and you start suffering in behalf of that. You take it as your suffering. It can happen in very close relationships. Like the husband is suffering and the wife is suffering. So the husband and wife, the other is suffering what the partner is suffering. Or my mother is suffering, my father is suffering, or my child is suffering, so I am suffering. But when there is no such a relationship, like it is not bounded by personal or selfish ends of interest, till somebody's suffering becomes your suffering, then it's compassion. Thus, the definition and idiom is not always the same. But once people listen that compassion is a virtue, then they try to practice it. So that practicing like today, most of the Buddhists, Mahayana Buddhists, practice compassion. So while practicing compassion, it's like it is a virtue. I have to practice compassion. You cannot create an empathy, but you self-hypnotize yourself that you have empathy. This is the point, what I think is idiotic compassion. That I cannot really by heart reach a person's pain and suffering, and I'm not sharing it by my process of humanitarian heart, but I'm doing it as a duty, then it is not the real compassion. So it is foolish. The other, as you said, compulsive types. So compulsive types can be from both sides. Like I felt Lalita Ma is not well, and I have to persuade Lalita Ma my ways that I think will make her feel well. It may not at all make you feel well, but I think if I persuade you, this is the ego control. It is also not compassion, because I'm not reaching you. I'm just exerting my ego identity to make you think I am compassionate, or I am self-hypnotizing myself. I'm so compassionate, I have to do this. Or it can be compulsive. Like a person is not like that compassionate. Suppose in most of the cases of the gurus and disciples happen, the disciple is, you have to save me from this, you don't see my suffering and all this, and the guru is okay, it's a liability now. That can also be a compulsive compassion, which is not true, which is standing on ego pursuits. Like I was thinking, just now I was talking to Ma. I have to again sit in satsang today. After many years of working as a guru, I feel like 99.9% of whatever I'm practicing compassion, it's for me, not for others. Though I'm doing for others, how much others are receiving is not in my hand. Then I have to be compulsive. Now, compulsive compassion can also be like parenting. At time I did that in my young days. I'm seeing that the disciples are going in a wrong way. If you remember yourself, in Shiva, I was very angry with Karina due to some reason that I've forgotten today. So my anger was like how a person cannot understand what I'm saying and what she needs is this. At that time, you came to cool down me. You smudged some sage around me, and then you told a great thing to Karina that, see, Baba is so concerned about you. You are lucky that Baba is so concerned about you, and this will help you. You are the luckiest that he is so concerned about you, and I can see in future you will really take the path if Baba has gone to so extreme of his compassion. That was also a kind of compulsive compassion, and it's true what you saw. Today she has become the mother of the Sangha. Not by becoming a partner of the Guru, but by her Shiva, by her service to the Sangha, by her love for everybody, by her purification, that everybody looks up to reach that state. Sometimes Guru's compassion can be compulsive also. But it's very difficult to see which character of this compulsive compassion is workable and which is not. Now it comes under skillful compassion. The skillful compassion, the moment the question comes skill, then it's not only compassion, it's that the master is trained in multifarious ways to combat the psychological errors of others. In a skillful compassion, one who is compassionate has to be skillful first in psychology. You have to know why the person is suffering, not just by apparent reasons. There can be many reasons that are not explained at all or have surfaced at all. Like many people behave wrongly. Like in the most part, please don't mind those who are Westerners. The culture has made women temptresses in most cases, starting from their dress attitude, to their behavior, to their body language. Everything is sexually attractive. As an Indian man, I will mean to say that whatever their body language, behavior, which is sexy, is deliberate. But when I went to West, I found no, many people innocently do this because culture has pushed them to do that. And they don't see anything wrong in it because nobody has explained to them where they are actually enticing people unknowingly. Now I am seeing this in India also. In TV programs arranged by big media companies, young girls, young boys, like below teenage, they are doing Bollywood item numbers. Item number is like XXX dance and music. In India, the terminology is item number. So these kids, when they're doing these item numbers, they're behaving so sexy when they may have no knowledge about what is sexiness because they've not felt it. So what will be their psychology when they grow? Because they will be treated as sex dolls. They will be treated as sex idols by the growing age. What will happen to their mental? That they are doing, pushed even by their parents. They themselves do not know what they're doing. They think they're doing very great. People are clapping, people are praising them. A little girl of 7 is imitating a film sex idol in a dance. What happens to this girl when she grows up? Her body language has become like that. Her behavioral pattern has become like that. I'm not speaking of boys so much because it's still, India is young to think a boy is sex. Still now in India, a girl is attracted towards the personality of a man rather than physical sexiness. Whereas all men are attracted towards the sexy woman. It's according to the biological structure of man and woman. But what will happen to this girl when she grows up? She will be looked at by many men as she has an available sexual product. But what she's doing, she doesn't even know what she's doing. She's not groomed by her parents that this does not suit you. Vulgar songs, the literature are vulgar. With that, they're composing dance, they're getting prizes, they're getting certificates. What happens to you? So in such case, compulsive compassion is very important. That somebody persuades them to understand what is the wrong thing in it. What they're making themselves cheap, vulgar. This one is. Somewhere, children get fun in stealing things. In Indian culture, they make certain dates of full moon made for teenager children to steal things, so that under the guidance of the society or guidance of the parentage, they are given this independence, so it doesn't remain forbidden for them to go into the darkness of mind to do this in a criminal way. So generally, it happens in the villages. They call it Nosta Chandra, the naughty moon. In naughty moon dates are in Indian almanac, where the children will behave like Krishna and the Gopa Brindas, or Krishna and his friends, go to somebody's garden to pick up new mangoes. Everybody knows. Today in our garden or in where the pickles are kept, where the sweets are made and kept, children will come tonight to ransack. But it is promoted so that they take it more as a game rather than a hiding, lying, and crime. But if a person has become a thief, like punishments in the court, punishment courts are also a kind of compulsive compassion. Why? Punishment will ever change the person or not, we do not. Until we call the prisons as rehabilitation centers these days, we are not allowed to call prisons. We are made to say it is rehabilitation. It's a home for those who have done crimes. So these are the ends which are connected to compassion. In Indian system, if a guru is not strict enough, a guru is not torturous enough, then he is not a good guru. In entire West, if such thing happens, the guru goes to the prison. I will give you an example from my life. Once in West, those who were there and was witness to it, please keep silent, don't make comments, because I won't speak the name and place. That a lady presented me a box of chocolates. And I'm new in the West. I'm very orthodox Indian traditional trained guru. And opens the chocolates in front of a big crowd and says, "Suck the duckling's nipples." On the moment, there was fire in my brain, and my wrathful fire image came out. Everybody got it. And I will not describe in detail. I became kind of violent. So by the time that lady has run out to the next cottage or room, whatever, the lady's boyfriend is saying, "You've done a great thing. Nobody has ever been able to tell her this." She carries on. Because the boyfriend is understanding where is the wrong end of it. And one who has hosted me is now afraid. What happens if now a police case happens? If you go behind bars, she is planning immediately to take me away from there somewhere else. I said, see, if I am present at the court, none of you have any responsibility. I will ask the court whether there is any sanity of the court to see that you bring a guru from the west to purify, guru from the east, orient, to purify your Western culture, and then you behave vulgarly with the guru in this language, in this behavior, then I will say it is a shame on that culture, shame on that nationality. Astoundingly, this lady's life changed completely after she was bashed. Sukritima is laughing now. That day it was fearful. But her life started completely changing from that day. So she opened up to me that, you know, most of the gurus from India and Tibet came here. I had to sleep with them. Why? The empowerment. She opened up. She said it. See. So I said, why did you allow it? Because it's compassion. They're enduring their compassion in my body. Now see what is compulsive compassion. My part is also compulsive compassion. The other experience of XYZ gurus are also compulsive compassion. They're saying it is compassion. Today I'm opening up a lot of this. In name of Tantra, there are cults in India that deflower a girl who has reached puberty, and it is done by an elderly guru. Is it not abuse? It's a serious abuse that goes on in India, in Orthodox India, even in South India, very much known as Yoni Puja. In temples, in name of compulsive compassion. There are gurus who declare that if you are really dedicated to the guru, you should give your daughter and your wife also to the guru to enjoy. Then you are a real disciple. In name of dharma, this goes on. In name of compassion, they are getting energized. In the Baul tradition, I have come across a number of gurus, those who do the same thing. Young girls turned into Bhairavis, Dakinis, or Manjuris, by having, the guru is having sex with the young virgin. That is the blessing, that is the compassion. In Australia, one lady met me that her son has become very arrogant and psychological. So talk with the son. The son was talking with me in Bengali. So how do you know Bengali language? So he said, my father is Bengali and my mother is South American. Now the mother, so I listened to the son in details and found that her mother's main income is being a ducky. I don't want to explain it more. So she's telling me that I need some money. If you can do some magics for money, don't mind, I will pay you. I said, I don't take money for anything. She said, no, I am a manjari. I know very well how to behave with the gurus. I will take you for a weekend copulation retreat. Nobody will know. I said, what did you learn it? She said, from my guru. So she will maintain a decorum with me that I need secrecy. She also needs secrecy. The bargain is I have to do a tantric magic for her to get money. I am very bad in my mouth. They said, you go to your horse trainer guru and ask him to give you some money because he has used. Then she became like a demon. I said, I am not afraid of anything. Nothing I'm afraid of. What is immoral or unethical in my view, I will protest against it. Your son is psychologically in depression because of this. He has talked to me about it. So in name of compassion, a lot of wrong thing happens. Again, in the text of Pilopanarupa, in the teachings of the Mahasiddhas, it is also said, if a woman or a man has gone into perversion, psychological perversion, through wrong sexuality, then a Daka or Dakini, a Bhairav or Bhairavi, a Nayak or Naika, I'm speaking of various traditions, they give me these names, they are responsible morally to purify them through copulation. Now somebody purifying somebody through copulation and somebody is taking an advantage of this process and abusing a man or a woman is not the same thing, but goes in the name of compassion. So skillful ways are where you need to react and how you need to react. And what are your methods and tools to work with them. I have seen for myself, my paternal love works the best. It is not that I have not been approached as a lover. I have been many times approached as a hero. But particularly in my young days. But the thing is that, okay, you love me, very good. You keep yourself near me and feel what is your love. And now I will make strict disciplines for this person who has chosen a very particular risky end of relationship with the Guru. So this strict end and this particular end of dealing with her will one day make her understand that this is not my method, or I am not in love with him, or what I recognize as a relationship can also be devotion. Or somebody own the fight against all temptations and have reached the real state of a lover and beloved. So in the name of compassion, many wrong things can happen. The thing is empathy. A person may recognize a self-reflection of a desire in another person, particularly in the opposite sex, and feels comfortable to recognize it as compassion. It may not be compassion, it can be just desire. So one who is working with compassion, who is seasoning the compassion, who is rendering the compassion, has to be very human in heart, has to be pure in moral and ethics, has to not allow the ego or vested interest to take place in the name of compassion. Then the real compassion will work. Because love for the Guru can reach a state of the lover and the beloved. There are many Sufi songs in Bangladesh and even in Persia, Turkey, that a male disciple is explaining the Guru as the beloved in a way that the male disciple is seeing himself as a woman. This is so much applicable in our Vaishnava tradition that a man has to lose the male ego and start feeling himself as a gopi or a beloved or a lover of Krishna. I have done that practice myself. And it can do unbelievable things. It can help transcend gender. It can also make a man transcend sexuality and feel the intensity of love that a woman feels. Generally, a man's love is through sex. Whereas, I'm saying generally, not all. Whereas in a woman's case, a sex is generally, sexuality is coming through love. So when a person reaches that state of love, a man, then a man has transcended his extra-sexuality. So there is the question of compassion. That sacrificing myself, I want your good. I'm jumping into a pond, trying to save you, you are drowning. I may get drowned and die also, but I'm not caring. I'm jumping into it. That emotion, that empathy is compassion. So in real compassion, there can be deliberate. There can be compulsion. Many of my old disciples have got even bitten by me. How many not? People here will say. But why they're still with me? Because they've gained something. There is a saying in Indian training of a guru that you need to do taran with chetan. Taran means punishment, even physical punishment, to awaken. But this is very Indian. Now, if somebody thinks I am a guru, I have to beat my disciples, then that will not be compassion, that will be ego compulsiveness. I give you an example. A great Vaishnava guru from the Nimbarka sect of Vaishnavism, a yogic Vaishnava sect, once threw his wooden slippers on the head of a shopkeeper in the market, and the shopkeeper's head bled. So everybody seeing, you are Vaishnava. Vaishnavas are most benign, most soft, most delicate. He said, yes, if I am not a Vaishnava, there is no Vaishnava ever born in this world. Everybody was shocked. Then when he comes back, he's called Ramdas Kathia Baba. People fold their hands to name him. What is he saying? He's saying he was cheating. So if this person's moral and no fear to commit a sin like cheating a saint is there, who will punish him? I need to punish him because it happened with me. So it's with full compassion that I broke his head. In later history, it was found that shopkeeper became a Vaishnava sannyasi. The compassion was skillful. It worked. But it's not always that when the motive of the guru is good, the treatment to the disciple is always correct. I'm speaking it from my end. My training of it, I have observed. A guru has to be very careful, one who is compassionate about what I will do. I will keep a very critical historical story about it to all of you. I always cross boundaries. Those who know me, they know. For speaking the truth, I cross boundaries. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as the embodiment of Radha and Krishna in the same body, he was punished by Guru Nityananda and was put into a cell called Gambhira, which had only one door and a very small room. 7.5 years in confinement. After that, he was not found. So he was missing. Nobody says he left his body. He was missing. But why these 7.5 years he was in confinement and not allowed to meet anybody except 4 people? 3 are 3 saintly people. Also, among these 3, 2 were highly administrative, holding administrative posts. in the royalty of Orissa. One is Shikhi Mahanti, the temple Mohanta. Another was Rai Ramananda, was one of the chief ministers with all probability. Most of can say about it. Isn't Shikhi Mahanti one of the major ministers? Rai Ramananda, one of the major ministers of the king of Orissa, that time of Puri. One was Swarupa Damodar, who was a Vaishnava saintly person. And another was the temple dancer, chief temple dancer, Madhavidasi, who that time a big upheaval was going on. A lot of wars and battles were going on in Orissa. So Madhavidasi was put into this. I will not explain what reasons, I'm not going there. But Madhavidasi lived with Mahaprabhu these 7.5 years together in that room. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu made a rule from sannyasis that a male sannyasi will not turn a wooden doll or a doll, a female doll, to see the doll. If seen laying in the road, or will not look at even a painting of a woman. Such strictness of monkhood. But Saint Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is living with the highest temple Devdasi, Madhavidasi, in his Gambhira 7.5 years. This was a punishment given by Bhagavan Nityananda, or Mahaprabhu Nityananda, who is Sri Chaitanya's ultimate guru. Why? It's also in the context of compassion. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu banished one of his nearest disciples called Choto Haridas when a complaint from other disciples of somebody came to him that he is so fond of Choto Haridas and Choto Haridas is living with Madhavi and Madhavi is feeding him morsels of food in his mouth. On the moment, Mahaprabhu disowned him. As a result of shock, Choto Haridas committed suicide, jumped into the ocean and died. In no time, an old lady called Madhavi Puri, same name, but she's an 80-year-old lady who's a sannyasi, who's a nun, came and told Mahaprabhu that what wrong he has done, that you have disowned him. You have kept him with me and asked me to treat him as child Krishna's Gopal. So I was feeding him morsels. What wrong I have done? It is your order. At this moment, Sri Chaitanya understood that he has done a major mistake. So it is written in Chaitanya Bhagavad, Ha Krishna Boli Prabhu Ridi Sangorido, Sei Hote Prabhu Gambhirai Praveshito. Very cut, short description that Krishna, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, like alas, chanted the name of Krishna and said alas. And from that day, or from that time, that incident, he entered the cell, entered Gambhira. Why? Because Nityananda Prabhu showed him that he has not transcended sexuality. He has not transcended attachment. He has not transcended attraction. He's only virtually abstaining from this and teaching abstention. Because he has not transcended it. It is in his mind, not expressed outside. So at that time, the temple dancer, Madhavi was very close to Sri Chaitanya. So Madhavi Dashi, the name of Madhavi reminded Sri Chaitanya of Madhavi Dashi, and he forgot there is another Madhavi who's an 80-year-old lady, and he has kept Chota Haridas, his favorite disciple, with Madhavi Dashi to take care. So this mind, Sri Nityananda Prabhu hooked out this mind from Chaitanya and showed where he is not a true sannyasi in his mind, where he is akin and inclined to Madhavi Dasi. So the punishment was socially known, you will live with Madhavi Dasi in the kingdom. And in that time, what Sri Chaitanya realized and what Sri Chaitanya spoke to his disciples, called the Nirachala teachings, do not tally with his teachings in Navadvip by any means. Thus, Krishnadas Kaviraj, his biographer, wrote, Vahirange kare Prabhu naam sankirtan antarange kare Prabhu rasasadan. In the outer world, he is singing and chanting Lord Krishna's name. And in secrecy, with the selected few to be his intimate, he is discussing the ultimate essence of love and spirituality. So this is the time, what he taught. Ramananda didn't write anything about it. Shikimantu didn't speak anything about it. Madhavi Dasi didn't speak anything about it. But Swarup Damodara wrote a coded language text. Why coded language? It's called Kotcha. Kotcha means written in Twilight language. Twilight language means illusory language. Why illusory? The particular codes. What is the actual meaning behind the codes? Only the yogis and the secret tradition will know, and nobody else will. So this text of Swarup Damodara's Kotcha is now slowly coming up. It's a text on tantric sexuality, sexual relationship, and transcending gender through sexual relationship and copulation, exactly as the Buddhist tantric text or the Shiva tantric text, Shakta tantric text on couples relationship. This is what the Bauls have to follow. But in name of this teaching, Bauls have taken it to extreme perversion. I have myself witnessed. So this is also a compulsive compassion on part of a great guru like Bhagavan Nityananda to punish an avatar who is his disciple. So what great compassion Nityananda had. So 3 times he has shamed Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by breaking his attributes of sannyas or monkhood. In India, a monk carries a water can, which is a holy water can called kamandulu, and a holy stick. So he has broken his kamandulu and danda, holy stick, 3 times. Last was in Puridham. So this is shown as a lila, as a divine game. I see everything from the human viewpoint. But how a highly compassionate guru is training the disciple through punishments, shaming him that you are pretending a monk. You are not a monk. You are uneligible to be a monk. So love can take very restful forms too. And compulsive character can come. But this compulsive character, whether it is beneficiary or it is declining the disciple, that needs to be observed. There is the skill. So Lolitama, is there any more questions about this topic? Like what came from my heart, I spoke. Now you will say whether your question has been answered or somewhere there are gaps. If you confront me, I will be happy. Then I will know where I have not reached.
I need to think about it. You said a lot.
Okay.
And first, I want to thank you for your compassion towards me, which has been so moving and so changing for me. Thank you.
I will tell you one thing. In my world, there is no word called compassion. In me, I recognize it as love. I love you, so I try to reach what you ask for. I can shout to you out of love also, but it's love. I don't see it as compassion because I am also benefiting by it. What bliss I get by loving everybody that only I know. Nobody else can know that. How my heart fills with the tears of love in loving each one of you. It's a kind of psychological madness that I was born with, and it's carrying on.
Baba, you've saved so many lives. You've saved so many lives, and Lolita Mom, or that's your nickname, but there's some very beautiful aura coming from you. And I just wanted to say thank you for today's topic, Baba. And I hope I didn't speak on top of you, and I'm sorry, I'm just hollering from here, but I feel like it wasn't a chance meeting when I met you, and you really you save lives. We're all touched, and we all love you so much.
I will not take a credit of it. I do not know I save lives. I only know I love you. And in that love, whatever is done by God. The compassion or grace of God is flowing through me. This is what I feel. My God, I like to call God Mother. It's Mother's grace, Mother's love flowing through me. I cannot take a credit of it. I only know I love you, and if I love you, if you are having a problem, it's my problem, and until and unless you are coming out of the problem, I am not coming out of it. Your disease is my disease. I don't see it as compassion. I see it as love, because in compassion, there is not equality. But in my heart, I always feel it equal. I never feel that I'm greater than anybody else. I'm a human being. I've learned in my way many things, but nothing to boast about. I learned everything to make myself happy. It's selfish. What good is being done is done by the training of my gurus and the grace of Ma flowing through me. It's all flowing through everybody of you. If you open up your hearts, that grace will flow through you. So I don't know how many people I'm helping. I only know I'm in this crazy love with all of you, and I'm flowing through it, I'm going through. Like my very good friend Ramananda is here. He's a Vaishnava, ardent Vaishnava. He came to Shiur. His wife, we just met for some 7-8 days, isn't it?
Yes. Short time. I think 5 days.
So his wife, a very young lady, to me a little girl, and her heart was absolutely like a little girl. And she just left her body recently in Vrindavan. And without saying, in my heart of hearts, I accepted her as my daughter, very deep. So the day I first read that Ramananda is writing about Madhukari Ma, his wife has passed away, I could not first believe it. Because I was waiting that soon we will meet again.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Saying, many people told me when I was down that for a saintly person, this pain does not suit. Why you are lamenting? No, I'm not lamenting. I'm deeply in pain. Because I'm waiting for my daughter to meet me. She wrote to me, I have many things to talk to you, Baba. And we were waiting. So me and Ma, we were crying. We could not sleep that night. Consecutive 3 nights we didn't sleep. We only sat and just communicated with her. We didn't pray because she was so pure and she was so much in love with God, and she wished to live her last in Vrindavan only, and she left her mortal body in Vrindavan. Everything was very spiritually marked, but this loss of a daughter to a father's heart, to a mother's heart, is a very deep thing. I know that more than Ramananda, nobody has suffered so much. They are like from childhood best friends, like very young best friends. It's a huge pain, but I can only explain it. It's not compassion. I recognize it. Love. Very human. And now, connected to what I was discussing, Mika has written, why is the body alchemy? What is the body alchemy of feeling wrong emotions? Body alchemy of feeling wrong emotions is increasing the hormones that create sex, greed, and anger. To a limit, they are necessary in life. If sex was bad, then God wouldn't have created sex for creation. So while it is not bad, while it can be purely divine, a person needs to be trained to reach there. Like we offer flowers to God. Flowers are genitals of a plant. Those attract the bees and other insect butterflies to have pollination. But where it creates wrong end in us, perversions in us, that is where we have crossed the limit. Where we have crossed the limit is excess of that hormone pushing us into that extreme excitement that we cannot control. So yogically, to control that hormone technically is the practice of a yogi. In the same way, greed and anger also can be controlled technically by a yogi. So the body alchemy of feeling, the body alchemy of freeing wrong emotions is to control, I'm specifically saying, the glands which are connected to Manipura chakra, that arises greed. The glands and their fluids connected to Svadhisthana chakra, that arises sex. And insecurity and fear factor, that causes anger. It's very funny. The cause of fear is not in the fear. Like the cause of sexuality in sexuality, cause of greed is in greed. But the cause of fear is, cause of anger is mostly in fear. So have to deal with the fear factor, the insecurity. If the insecurity is gone, the anger coming from the agitation will be less. Of course, that is controlling the energy of Muladhara. Mika, do you have counter questions about it? Then I will know what you are asking me to explain. Or is it explained to you?
What happens to the fluids that they are not anymore disturbing? How does the process in the body happen?
There are three ends of it. There are certain foods that increase this excitement. That is why the Sattvika way of living a life is also a strict control of food. One. Another is the way of your behavior and companionship. You can borrow these energies from others too. These are the outer factors, not the inner factors. Food is connected to the inner factors, but it's coming objectively, coming from outside. And third is how you understand your emotions yourself. Generally, if we are resolved with our emotions, means we know our emotions purely, we can have respect. But if we do not know our emotions purely, then we can get carried away. It's a very subtle analysis, this. You understand your emotions or not understanding yourself. This I have given those who are my disciples, all of you, when an emotion that you think is wrong for you is arising in you, rather than suppressing it, hiding it, blocking it, sit in a meditation and look through it. Face it. Because it's in you. You cannot hide it. If you hide it, it will remain in you, hidden from you. So it will go into your subconscious. That will harm you more. No, it has happened. It is a reality. Let me face it, what it is. Let me see. Rather than indulging in the emotion, if you separate from the emotion as a witness consciousness, like you are looking into it. Like in meditation, you are looking at your physical feelings. You are looking at your emotional feelings, isn't it? You are being trained in it. That is the best way to work. That is why the restraint comes in 4 things. Food, where you live, where you sleep, basically sajja. Companionship. And which environments you allow yourself to go. In some environments, in some climatic conditions, in some geographical territory, some emotions can rise and some emotions can fall. According to that regions, yogas are made. Like most of you know that Indian spirituality is very Himalaya-centric. The Himalayas are the holy place. There is a science behind it. Why? Because Himalayas are the highest deposition of uranium. And uranium radioactive waves excite your brain cells. When your brain cells are excited, the brain alcohol or the cerebral fluid is produced more. Production of cerebral fluid takes you to a meditative sense in deep meditation. Because in deep meditation, actually the brain fluid increases. So because Ganges, the Ganga river, flows from the glacier of Kailash, which is all uranium rocks. So it carries that uranium flow of water. That is why it doesn't get decomposed. Ganga water doesn't get decomposed. But nowadays it is getting decomposed because they made dams in higher Himalayan places like Tehri, and then in China also, to collect the uranium that is running out with the silt and the water, because that uranium will be used for greater causes, making nuclear bombs. How civilized we are. Just opposite to compassion, opposite to love. So these are the factors. Any more counter question about it?
Not right now. It's clear.
Good. Now I am going on the same set of questions. Somebody is writing, I'm not writing, speaking out the name, I can, but she writes direct message. So I'm not. Baba, what are these fluids? Is it the semen of the man and the secretion of the woman? Yes, ma. It's so. To control that is a yogic technical practice called Vajroli, Amorali, and Sahajali mudras. Vajrali, Amorali, and Sahajali mudras are practiced singularly. Like you can be an individual practitioner of doing it. But those who are married or those who are couples, they can do the same thing with help of each other. And that practice is really the yogic or tantric sex, which is not gross sex. It's a very high technical meditation on sexuality, yoga. Now, somebody has said, Orko. Orko, I will answer you first. I see what Dorian writes. Dorian is saying, is there a difference between the Shiva nature of Tantra, the Buddha nature of Mahayana, and Anatta, non-self of Theravada Buddhism? These compartmentalisms are done by people, Dorian, who have not understood the essence of any of this. So most of the modern scholars, teachers, religionists, in their compartmentalized mean and narrow thoughts, do this subdivision. I've said again and again that Buddha has called himself an Angira sage. Angira sage is the oldest clan of sages coming from the great Angira, who is said to be avatar of Shiva. So Shaivite saints who are pre-Vedic are called Angirasa. So these Angirasas believe that the universe is self-evolved and there is no God who created. It's exactly like the modern quantum theory. That is what is known as Swayambhu. That is why this Swayambhu theory has come up in all of the 5 agamas. Jainagama and Buddhagama and Shaivagama is very strong in Swayambhu theory. The Shakta and Vaishnava has got a bit clouded from the Swayambhu theory. But in Vaishnavism, Sankarsana theory is Swayambhu. That Swayambhu is as the universe is self-evolved and self-generated and self-evolved from nothing to everything. In the same way, following the backtrack, from everything you can become nothing. That becoming nothing is samadhi. And then you can evolve back from samadhi, watching how you come back. You recognize yourself to be Swayambhu. Then it is called you are self-born. That is why they say Shiva has no father and mother, because he's self-born. But this is not mythical. This is a theory, a principle, which is recognized as pure science today, comparing with the quantum mechanics, which is also saying Swayambhu, self-evolved. Now, in a Mahayana, Anatta is all over Buddhism. Now, the term Anatta has been spoken in Pali language. In Pali language, though the grammar is derived from Sanskrit, but there are many folk usages, because Pali was a folk language. So in Pali, Anatta means non-ego, not non-self. This is another problem of later Sanskrit scholars explaining it as a non-self. I'm coming to it. In a Mahayana, to attain non-self, the practice is compassion. That if you practice compassion and you grow self-sacrifice for that, by that, the value to your personal ego will go in love of others. So Buddha said, whenever you have come across the Brahma experience or ever-expanding experience, 2 things can happen to you. You can become a great compassionate being, and you can become a very self-centered, singular yogi. That is why Buddha is saying, Arhatas are great for themselves. They have attained it. But then, what they're doing good to the people? If they are not sharing their wisdom with people suffering, not having that wisdom, then they are very mean, because their self has still remained as a divine self, not to be touched by anything unholy. That is why Buddha chose 8 of his nearest disciples who were already arhatas. But Buddha is saying that his disciples are day by day becoming selfish. Why? They've attained the state, and to maintain the state, they're abstaining. Just before I said abstention from particular food, particular companionship, particular dwelling, is separating and secluding you, because it is indulging your individuality. So this restraints taken to extreme can make you inhuman also. A Baul will say, Manusher khailam, Manusher pallam, Manusher pallam. That I ate what others harvested, others produced. I wore the dress that others wore. Human beings did it. What did I do for humans? I have only taken from humans. So with this thought, Buddha took a number of nuns. This is the time when Buddha started believing. In first part of his life, he didn't believe that woman can be spiritual beings. Though it is a shame on Buddha, but it's also in Buddha's dialectics proof that he's understanding more and more. How do we know that? Because it took a host of nuns to get Gururinpoche or Rajagriha when he is training these bodhisattvas. And if you read Prajnaparamita, all through Prajnaparamita, Buddha is explaining how the wisdom works in you. The wisdom is derived from samadhi, according to Buddha. Words are not wisdom. Prajna is the experience of oneness with the void. That experience, oneness with the void, is to be transmuted into compassion to go beyond the errands of self-centeredness. So Bodhisattva is one who has attained Bodhi, who has attained the experience which is enlightenment. But still that sattva or identity is not dissolved. So Bodhisattvas are viewpoints, Bodhisattvas are self-restoration, Bodhisattvas are self-possession. On this, Buddha is working Mahayana. So Mahayana is the, after completion of Theravada prospects in his disciples, what defilements Buddha saw in disciples, Buddha is promoting or moving the second wheel of Dharma, which is the teaching of Mahayana. That is why it is Mahayana. It is not Hinayana. Hina is mean. It's not a mean spirituality. It's not only for you, for your enlightenment. That you can become a Pratyeka Buddha, means an individual Buddha, and lose. What is love? What did you share it with people? What is the Shiva? What is the service to mankind? How are you seeing that you are an individual in the world of interdependence? So you have not transcended attachment. You have found attachment in your own identity. So on Anatta, a non-ego, has not been reached yet. When you are thinking that in my meditation I've reached it, but your behavior is saying you have not reached it. So, when Brahma Vihara, or the great expanse of the mind happens, what do? Then is the time of Karuna, Maitri, Mudita, Upeksha. So Karuna is compassion. I've explained already. Maitri is friendliness, particularly between opposites. Whatever there is enmity, try to be friendly. This is Mahaprabhu said, Amanina Manavena. That one who is not respectable, even you have to respect that person also. That is mudita. That is maitri. The mudita is what I said, that I don't recognize it as compassion. I recognize it as love, because as a lover derives bliss from loving others. That is called mudita. When you love somebody, you feel for somebody how much you enjoy it. That bliss of self-sacrifice is mudita. And ultimately is upeksha. Upeksha is two kinds. One is upeksha to yourself. Upeksha means neglect. Neglect your selfish feelings. That is upeksha. Another is upeksha is don't get tempted. So turn a cold eye towards temptation. In both ways, it is upeksha. Because in the process of compassion, I started saying in the name of compassion, how many abuses happen. It's a borderline difference. Where is the motive? What is the motive? And if the motive is right, the result will be right. If the motive is not right, the result will not be right. That is the skillful compassion. So empathy, humility comes to respecting everybody, everything. That is mudita. Karuna is empathy. Maitri is humility of a friend, friendliness. Particularly, Buddha shows that our mind is always in binary. Always we are thinking two opposites equal at the same time. What we are thinking outside, there's something inside. What we are thinking inside, we are always reacting something outside differently. This two being separated, if you can connect it, is the yoga. So that yoga is Maitri. When you see how the two opposites are equals, and you can bring a friendliness between the two. Thus, ultimate ideal of Buddhism goes to when you see samsara and nirvana as the same thing. Then the lila starts according to Vaishnavism. The samsara and nirvana is the same truth. These two are two extreme viewpoints. So in Mahayana, a bodhisattva is learning self-sacrifice for better realization of his or her own prajna or own wisdom. So more you are selfless, your wisdom is expanding. So this expansion was recognized as Brahman by the Vedas and Agam. So when your heart is expanding, then Brahma Vihara is successful. Otherwise, you can be a hyper-egotistic Vedantis debating with others. You can be so holy that you don't touch others. The Brahma Vihara, the great expanse, is not proved in heart. It's only in head. We don't need it. Thus, the practice of compassion is to keep Brahma Vihara at the feeling of sky-like expanse intact, not getting disturbed. Now, the Shiva nature of Tantra and Buddha nature. Now, the term Buddha and Shiva is defining its own character. Term Shiva comes from the Sanskrit word Sha-Eva. Sha is Paladvasha, not S, not Sa, but S-H, Sha. So Sha means Shadba. Shadba, Paladvasha, Boyref, Shadba means the natural balance of the existence, where the two opposites are equalized. Where is peace? So Shadva, in its derivative meaning, means peace. So the peaceful existence. What is the peaceful existence? When you have found the balance of interdependence between the outer and inner, and you are yoga yukta, means your yoga is not broken. So that is in vajrayana shown in the design of the vajra. It's two equal and opposite ends, but joined in the center. It's actually a design for our ideal pulsation as the electromagnetic polarization of the cosmic energy. So to reach this is the view of Buddhism. To reach this is the view of Shaivism. So Buddha calls it shunya or void. Shiva calls it vyom, means sky-like consciousness. Why? See, in the ultimate essence of the teaching, it's the same thing. The Shiva nature and Buddha nature are the same thing. In Shekadeshika Tika, a very important commentary on defining who is a Buddha, Nairatma wrote a text. Nairatma is Buddhist and his guru is Shaivite, Tilopa. Tilopa's installed Shiva temple or Shiva site is Shiv Sagar in Assam, near Dibrugarh. So he's writing that the term Shiva, the term Buddha, and the term Jina are just epithets. They mean the same thing. Is it clear to you, or there are more counter questions?
No, it's clear, and thank you very much for explaining this. I'm coming from let's say a background. I mean, it's the first time I joined the satsang, and thank you very much for repeating for me.
Satsanga is open to everybody.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Now, Orko is asking what is Bardo, what are the states of Bardo, and what is its significance in spiritual practice. Bardo is a Tibetan term. If you translate it, it will be called the subtle passage. What is the subtle passage? Subtle passage is in your own psychological, neurological structure of being, where you, from everything, reach nothing. How you enter samadhi is Bardo. First, take it slowly. It's not easy to understand all of it. But generally, the Bardo is said to be the 49 days after somebody has died, how the spirit moves the 7 lokas of Bhur Swa Mahayana Tapa Satya and reaches the Satya Loka at the Loka of truth. So then it is called the spirit passage. But this spirit passage is in the yogi's own body. How? The spine and the 7 chakras. When you are in a grounded reality, suppose you are asleep, you are in the Muladhara chakra. And from there, you started going into samadhi. You are passing through all other 6 chakras. In the 7th chakra you reach, you are attaining samadhi. The saturation of 7 chakras is taking you to samadhi. Any chakra attaining samadhi is that chakra is saturated in its meditation and it has given its resolution message to the brain, and the brain 2 parietal lobes have equaled to take you to samadhi. Samadhi means equal existence, which is referring to the 2 parietal lobes in equality is no thought. That is samadhi or conscious or yogic coma. So the way you awaken the kundalini and go through the 6 chakras, even after a tantric abhisheka or an empowerment and initiation in its proper form, you are asked to stay 49 days with the Guru in a locked room. Why? That you don't go out and like get mixed with other energies. In Guru's energy, you will live there because every 7 days a chakra completes its cycle of karma, one particular karma, and goes to the next chakra, sends its product to the next chakra, then the next chakra works with it, sends its harvest to the next chakra, and thus it ultimately goes to Sahasrat when it equates the two loads. So this 7 multiplied by 7 chakras, 7 days of each chakra is 49 days of Bardo. We call it Shukshma Marga, the subtle way from gross identity to non-identity, or to the identity of Nirguna self, that unattributed self, is 7 by 7, 49 days. Most of the people associate the Bardo with death. There's a song of Milarepa. Milarepa is saying why people have to call priests to do pujas for Bardo, because they have not practiced it in their own lifetime. You practice it in your own lifetime, you need nobody to do your Bardo. Is it clear, Orko, or you have more questions about it?
Yes, a lot clear. But I have a more question. They talk about a Bardo of deep sleep or conscious sleep. There are other Bardos they talk about. That's what I am.
See, now it is fragmented. Those who cannot do a complete practice of samadhi of every chakra and finally going into nirvikalpasamadhi in 7th chakra, they will start with yoga nidra. The novice start of this path is yoga nidra. How you are getting into deep sleep? If you go on watching, you will have an alert. Then it is sleep meditation. Like just the other day, somebody in a video call told me that you explain me Mahamudra. So I said, first, are you practicing Mahamudra? He said, yes. He said, I am a novice because I'm practicing Nandro and then I'm practicing Mahamudra also. So Mahamudra is the practice of the highest yogis. And Nandro is for the novice who has not yet got a tantric initiation full. How today lamas are teaching the two things to the same person. That must be, then the Mahamudra that person is speaking is also of such an obvious kind, which is not compatible to real Mahamudra. So I said, what Mahamudra you are practicing? He said, literally. I said, no, I'm not interested in hearing talks. I'm interested to hear the yogic techniques you are doing. So he said, keeping the eyes open and feeling inside you and going into a state in between, which is like a sky-like consciousness. In Indian pretext, that is called Shambhavi Mudra. But there are now many Shambhavi Mudras. Since Shambhavi Mudra also can come to a novice state for you to do some breathing techniques that will prepare you for the ultimate Shambhavi Mudra. In between, there can be 15, 16 stages. Then I said, but what you are watching inside you? He said, no, I'm thinking of the Guru or the Ishta or the God. Otherwise, what are you thinking of inside you? Your heart, your lungs, your liver, your kidney, what are you thinking inside you? It starts with inside you, you are observing your pulsation in certain chakra. Okay, it is heart. See the anahata pulsation and keep on looking outside. When the both watching will become equal, you will go into a state of blankness, which is the novice experience of voidness. I don't recognize it as Mahamudra. What I recognize as Mahamudra, that when after Raja Yoga, you go to Samrajya Yoga, you are asked to know the 64 major points of the brain, which permutates and by permutation and combination process are creating all thoughts. To end up all thoughts, you have to attain samadhi of each point of the 64 points of the brain. Coming to the Brahmarandra, or tip of the head, there you have attained nirvikalpasamadhi. That is Mahamudra. Why it is called Mahamudra? That also people do not ask. Mudra means seal. Maha means great. So what is the great seal? The cosmic design that is inside your brain. It is like a cosmic seal in you. That is the great seal. So now, see what is the difference between looking outside and concentrating inside to an imagination of a Guru's face or a deity or your pulsation, and what is saturating every 64 points of the brain to reach nirvikalpasamadhi is there are light year gaps of experience. When dharma is marketed, many things happen. It's better not to discuss. That's why the Zen people said, if you find the Buddha in the market, actually the line is, if you find the Buddha marketing, kill him, because it's not Buddha, it's more of a Satan, pretending the Buddha. The Buddha has no interest of popularity, ambition, desires, or ego support. Why a Buddha will go on marketing? There's no reason for a Buddha to be in the market. I mean, his marketing means he's marketing himself, what I mean. It's not he has gone to a plaza to buy. That also he may not need. Because I am not a Buddha when I go to new places, I go to plazas to see also. Please don't kill me. So is it clear to you, Orko?
Yes. Oh, very good.
Most of us, please explain Milarepa's iconography. Why does he keep his right hand behind the right ear? Not behind the right ear, on the right ear. Okay, I will tell you. Have you seen when the Indian classical singers sing, sometimes they put their hand in their ear and sing? Why do they do that? Why? Tell me why they do that.
To get a better sur, to get the correct note.
This is said in Zen. Try to hear the sound of one hand, because sound of two hands is clapping. that you can hear. A sound of one hand, place your hand in the ear and see the sound there. There is a buzzing. Following this buzzing, you can reach the brain pulsation. So Milarepa is a singer. So to feel the tune, because he's singing without any musical instrument. So that can be one reason he's putting his hand there. Even the mullahs, when they announce the Ajahn, they also put their hands in the ears, only because of that. In Nada Yoga, just these two parts of the hand adjacent to the ear like this, if you put and pump the ear and just keep it there and just relax. See, you are hearing a buzzing, which is the cosmic sound of the nada. So he is a yogi, he's doing it as he is going through that, a yogic practice, or he's singing, for that he's doing that, to keep it in tune. Okay, another question has come. Let's see what is the question. Yes, to hear humming from inside. That inner Brahmari can be heard by putting the hand in the ear. Even you put a conch in your ear, you will hear the same sound. You know, there is a stone called Shalgram Shila. Those who know Indian culture, they will know. It's a stone which is found in a particular place of Himalayas. Some people call it a fossil, but it is said to be symbol of Lord Vishnu, or Lord Vishnu resides in it. If the stone breaks, you will see a convex and a convex and the concave side of a spiral with like segments into it, like a snail. That is actually the design of Mahamudra. That is the primordial form of a life that has got stoned, maybe. Maybe they took chilam and became stoned. But they become fossils, which holds the primordial design of golden mean ratio spiral that is why conch is holy. And see how the full formation is coming like that. Even a flower, its petals bloom like this. So it is the ultimate geometry of everything in the cosmos and life. So that primordial design, yes, absolutely. See, you know now what Shalgram Shila is. Excellent. So this design is also in our brain. Because the primordial life is in our brain also. So this design, being in Shalgram Shila, is the symbol of Mahamudra. That is why Tantric Buddhists always put a Shalgram Shila in the heart or inside the statue of a Buddha to empower it to life. In Rumtek Monastery in Sikkim, where Karmapa installed the big Buddha statue on 108 Shalgram Shilas. It is generally, I also have 2 Shalgram Shilas, worshipped as symbol of Lord Vishnu. So Vishnu, the term, is with monich pratyay. Monich means a positive suffix. A positive suffix in Sanskrit language is asserting it as the manifested principle. So Vishnu means the reality of, or the personality of existence as it is. Shiva means the balance as it is. See, it's all coming to the same meaning in the final essence. And the design, how it happens, how expansion happens, or the Brahman happens in creation, is shown in the Shaligram Shila. That is why it is Vishnu Shila. It is the existential ultimate design of creation. It's the design of operation, sustenance, and it is also the design of a resolution or dissolution. In the same way, from the center to circumference, when it goes, it's endless growing. And from outer, when it comes, it's vimoksha, it's ended, samhara. It has taken entirety into its own origin. In its center is the black hole, and its periphery is never-endingness. This Krishna said in Bhagavad that I am the source of Brahman, because the term Krishna means black hole that sucks everything to its center. And Brahman means great expanse or Big Bang. So Big Bang came from me. That me is Krishna's non-self. What Buddha is saying, Anatta, non-ego, is Krishna's reality of being a personality, the great void. And this symbol is the symbol of center to circumference and circumference to center. So this is Krishna, this is Shankarshana. This is the pulsation of the inner and outer, the Big Bang and the Big Crunch simultaneous, and in between the Leela is happening. This design is in your brain. That is Mahamudra. This is Mahamudra. Let's see, more questions have come. Yes, it is also said it is in the heart of Jagannath. Yes, Max, it is the golden mean ratio. Max, will you say something about the golden mean ratio?
I don't know much about it. I'm not a mathematician, but I know that it's a mathematic ratio that's present in all of nature. You can see it in a lot of flowers, like you said. I think it's even represented in our DNA as well.
Yes, yes, exactly. It is basically, if you take a circle, the diameter is 50-50. And the golden mean ratio is 60-40. 41-59. 42-58. 43-57. 44-56. Like this. But it will never become 50. The entire creation is never 50-50. Because the moment you reach 50-50, you have gone into samadhi at the point. It has neutralized it. That neutralization is samhara. Sam means equality, hara means brought into equality. Everything sucked into equality. That's the black hole. Okay. Any question, any other question? from anybody? If not, then I will end up here today. It is 12 o'clock. Now we are in 0000 in the computer. The talk of Krishna and we are in 0. I think it's an exact timing. Okay,
Baba.
then. Yes,
Baba.
sir.
I have a little longer question, if you don't mind. So, Baba, today I was thinking of this, and you exactly said that. So, Buddha, in his first, Tripitaka, it is said that the first statement that he said after his enlightenment is like, "This is the last birth, and I'm not coming now. No karma, etc., etc." And then finally, he goes on giving the teaching of vajrayana. So there is evolving. So first, this. Second question is like, if Nirman Kaya,
one question at a time.
Interrelated questions.
But first question is that a Buddha goes and never comes back.
Yeah, Baba. And
so when rather than a question. Now, what is the question?
The question is like, when Nirman Kaya is there, you said in one of the discourses that until the master is in the body, he's of help. But then Nirman Kaya keeps coming. So whom are we praying to when we are praying to Padmasambhava, suppose? So
it's very interesting.
There are
understood the question. Let me first answer it. No, so many questions together. We'll be eating 3 cakes in the same plate. Let me finish one by one. I will hear the other question, but first let me come to this. Nirmanakaya means the created body, which is a part of creation. Sambhagakaya, Nirman means creation, making. Sambhagakaya means the absolute body of absolute enjoyment, of the lila body. That is the pure mind. And Dharmakaya means the body that is substratum of Nirmanakaya and Sambhagakaya, which is the substratum of body and mind, spirit. So what is the spirit? Dead. That is why Sambhagakaya is shown by a skull. It's shown by skull. It's like our skull is the substratum of our life, our skeleton, like that. It's in iconography. Now, even the one Nirmanakaya dies, if the Sambhagakaya has not got dissolved into Dharmakaya, then another Nirmanakaya has to hold the Sambhagakaya to complete its journey. This is like a high bodhisattva who is coursing in perfection of wisdom, but his identity is not lost. I am accomplished. This identity is not lost. I'm still something. I will be born in. But now, after my nirvana has completed, I will not be born again. What will be born again? If there is no karma left, then what happens to the consciousness? A consciousness without aggregates. The consciousness without aggregates is undefinable. So it is no more a separated thing. There's no question of coming back into the cycle of life and death. Now I will ask you another question. answers are given by counter questions. That Buddha said before leaving his body in Parinirvana Sutta. So in Nirvana Sutta, he has said, I will never come back. Myself, my identity is lost. And in Parinirvana Sutta, he says, until and unless every sentient being is liberated, I will come back again and again. Is Buddha a duplicate being? That he says something today and says something tomorrow? Answer me.
Baba, as you said,
try to answer. So what comes back? Because you are asking, if Padmasambhava is a Buddha, he has dissolved, there's no identity left, to whom we are praying. He does not exist anymore. Very right question. But Padmasambhava is not a Pratyeka Buddha. He's a Tathagata. He's a Lilamaya. He will come back again and again. Because to him, running away from life and death, his fear do not exist anymore. So he is not suffering anymore, that he will look for liberation. I cannot say he's never suffering. So many people calling him with their desires, of course he's suffering. But he, out of conscience and out of compassion and conscience behind compassion, has never ended. It's eternal. This is where it contradicts the Theravada thoughts of non-eternity. All Buddhists will say, not eternity. There is nothing called eternity. Everything ends up. Okay. Then why a Buddha will come back again and again till everybody is enlightened? Then Buddha's desire of coming back is eternal. Or his coming back is eternal. Those who are bookish doctrine holders, they won't be able to answer. It's a matter of experience. So in Bardo, when you are traveling, when you are going to the 8th chakra, which is called the Nirvana chakra, above it. That time, you can lose the pulsation of the brain for good. Or you can keep the pulsation of the brain alive and go. So keeping the pulsation of the brain alive, when you go, you will come back to brain. The Tathagatas keep the pulsation of heart chakra alive and go, because the love will bring them back. So they will leave for the will of the world, for the love. Love is everything. So Tathagatas, they have gone, come back, gone, come back, gone, come back. They are Buddhas, not Bodhisattvas. Bodhisattvas are coming to end up their identity. Buddhas are not coming back to end up their identity, because they are no more afraid of being bound by an identity. The root cause of non-identity is in the sense of liberation, and the root cause of the sense of liberation is in the sense of bondage. They have transcended the sense of bondage. This you will find in the teaching of Prakutsanda Buddha or Ashtavakra. In the 19th chapter of Ashtavakra Samhita, Ashtavakra says, Ka bandhana ka muktirva. What is the bondage you people are talking about? And for whom is the liberation? A liberation is from for one who is accepted that the person is suffering from bondage. When there is no sense of bondage, you have transcended even the fear, sense, insecurity of bondage. What is liberation and what is bondage? I know this is an information. It's very difficult to apprehend until and unless you become that. Sri Ramakrishna said in this matter, in the time of deluge, the mother keeps the 5 seeds of creation in her womb. So when you go to nirvikalpasamadhi and you come back from samadhi, what comes back? The seed of the 5 elements are present in the womb of samadhi. From the womb of samadhi, you come back with those 5 seeds. But whose samskaras have ended up also? That person, such a Buddha, also in Gautama Buddha is saying the greatest of wisdom, or the wisdom is the mother. So Buddha is calling her Tara, or the Savioress. In entire Prajnaparamita, the mother of all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. So if you become one with the mother, what's your problem of coming back? Those who have not yet been liberated, they are striving for liberation. One who is liberated in such an end that the sense of bondage do not exist. For that person, going or coming back, both are nonsense important. Thus, they can manifest manifold. Don't see that Rama and Parashurama both are avatars of Vishnu and they are fighting, they are manifesting in 2 different bodies and playing with each other against game. Now, present your next question. The next question do not exist now, isn't it?
Yes, Baba. But actually, I can say, but like Krishna, there's a count that Yogananda saw Krishna physically, but at the same time, Krishna has all the Nirmankaya maybe now. So how does a master who has already left his body like 5,000, or how many time doesn't matter, but then he is manifesting the same body that he had back then and simultaneously has Nirmankayas now. So probably you answered that in the last sentence of yours.
Even people have eyes to see the Sambhavakaya. Remember. So seeing Sambhavakaya is Ishvara Darshan. Even Nirvanakaya has gone, dispersed the mortal body, but the spiritual body has remained always and can manifest anytime. If that being is in the pinnacle of willpower. So Nirmanakaya is action power, gone. Sambhavakaya is knowledge power is there. You find Krishna in Bhagavad Gita. His words are, but there is also Dharmakaya which can manifest. It's very difficult to understand, but can. Like there are yogis I have seen in my life who is at the same time in 20 different places meeting. So which one is Nirmanakaya and which one is not Nirmanakaya? How will you understand? Astral bodies. But when you are speaking of Krishna, Krishna is the supreme consciousness, is the void. As, see from science, as the void, very gross, scientific, the zero energy state can manifest into cosmic energy. Why not? Krishna can manifest into anyone or before anyone. Is it clear to you or not? Then you can ask more questions, no problem. Don't search questions. Is there a question in your mind?
No, Baba, everything is answered.
Okay, Jai Guru. More questions will grow from there. You know, East grows more and more. So thoughts grow more and more. It will come, then I will answer. Priyanka. Before Priyanka, somebody is writing. Shubhama is writing, the first sentence is his declaration of realized state. Yes, true. Priyanka is Manibrata is saying, Nitya Devji and this previous part of him as part Pathamrita are two separate Nirmanakayas? Yes, two separate bodies. Bhagavan Vishnu as Ramachandra and Bhagavan Krishna are both manifestation of the same principle, but they are not the same in their Nirmanakaya. There are a lot of differences between. Actually, Nirmanakaya, Sambhavakaya, Dharmakaya is a matter of understanding the yoga of body, mind, and spirit. Very simply understand. You go to very big lectures and things, you will not understand the simple reality of it. Acha, Priyanka, Baba, I am feeling confused when you didn't. And I don't know what to think. Brilliant. Don't think anymore. If you cannot think anymore, you have reached the Buddha mind. I have to be in love with life and death, I guess. Don't guess. Because from life, from birth till death is the time period that needs love. I'm going to pray to Ma Vajrayana now and go to sleep. I love you. Brilliant that my boring teachings can send you to sleep. Thank you. So now there is no question, but now I'm feeling liberated. Nitai Gaur Pramanande Hari Hari Bol.
Oh,
Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Baba. Hari Bol.
thank you, Baba.
Thank you.